To really understand God's relationship with Jacob, you need to look at Jacob's backstory from Genesis chapter 26, his birth. Because Jacob doesn't fit the 21st century idea of someone chosen by God to serve him. He really is a scheming cheat. He's devious, greedy, self-interested, and he does everything, both right and wrong, with a great zeal. He deceived his own brother Esau and his father Isaac. He wrestled with an angel, or was it even God? And worked 14 years to marry the woman he loved. Jacob starts by referring to God as Isaac's God, his dad's God. He isn't sure at the beginning that he wants to serve God himself, but he wants the covenant. He wants that covenant blessing. He wants it without responsibilities. It's a little bit what President Kennedy said. Don't ask, what can my country do for me? But what can I do for my country? Jacob never thought about what he could do for God. It's all about what can God do for me? In Genesis chapter 28, God's covenant promise to Abraham and Isaac was offered to Jacob. In his dream at Bethel, Jacob learned that it was not enough to be Abraham's grandson. Jacob had to establish his own personal relationship with God. Remember, God has no grandchildren. Like Jacob today, each one of us must have a personal relationship, be a son or daughter of God, which has been made easier for us through Jesus Christ. It is not enough to hear wonderful stories about Christians. You need to be part of that story yourself in the 21st century. This is what Jacob is learning. Was Jacob at Bethel trying to bargain with God? It is possible that in his ignorance of how to worship and serve God, treated God like a servant who would perform a service for a tip. More likely, Jacob was not bargaining, but pleading his future to God. He may have been saying, in effect, because you have blessed me, I will follow you. Whether Jacob was bargaining or pledging, God blessed him. But God also had some difficult lessons for Jacob to learn. Are there times when we have difficult lessons to learn to be able to serve God? In Genesis 32, Jacob is about to meet his brother. He had run away from his family because Esau was ready to kill him. How would you feel knowing you were about to meet the person you had cheated out of their most precious possessions? Jacob had taken Esau's birthright and his blessings. Now he was about to meet his brother for the first time in about 20 years. And he was probably frantic with fear. He decided to pray. When we face a difficult situation, we can run about frantically, or we can pause to pray. Which approach do you think is more effective? Jacob describes this prayer in a dream as a wrestling match, which continued all night, just so he could be blessed. He was persistent, and finally he got his blessing and a new name. God encourages persistence in all areas of our lives, including the spiritual. Are there times in your spiritual life where you need more persistence? God gave many people new names, like Peter and Abraham and Sarah. The names were symbols of how God had changed their lives. After the wrestling match, here we see how Jacob's character had changed. Jacob, the ambitious deceiver, had now become Israel, the one who struggles with God. God gave him a new name. So when finally faced with what Jacob thought was mortal danger, he decided to pray to God to guide him through his struggles in life. Do we? Praying to God can bring its real surprises. Esau was very pleased to meet his brother, and he was content with what he had. Jacob was okay. All his worries about Esau and his future had gone away. Like this situation between these brothers, life can bring us some bad situations. We can feel cheated. We don't have to remain bitter. We can remove bitterness from our lives by honestly expressing our feelings to God, forgiving those who have wronged us, and being content with what we have and thanking God for what we have. Like Jacob, is praying to God the last thing we do? Maybe it should be the first thing. Remember, God cares about you. I'm just going to read you some words from Psalm 8. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. From the lips of children and infants, you have ordained praise, because of your enemies, to silence the foes and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. Remember, O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. He has made you a little lower than heavenly beings.